think the streaming has begun. I'm going to copy and paste the link to this live stream into the Marathon Discord. Obviously this won't be Marathon related, but the good news is that after finishing my quest, at least for the time being, with MacWolf 3D, I do envision myself starting to live stream the creations of Marathon levels in Wayland. You can all let me know in the chat how well this works, but of course right now there's not anybody. We'll see if I edit off the beginning of this video. I'm experimenting a little bit because I upped the quality of output on OBS. I don't know how well that would affect its viewability, so we'll find out tonight. If nothing else, it'll be like an inadvertent nod to spooky streams on Twitch. Pasted. I've got the view, the screen. Got the live chat tab open. So let's begin, shall we? Set aside these entanglements of wires. Alright, into WolfEdit we go now. So we've got a nice clean slate here. The question is how to start. I have a few general ideas of what works. The thing with these levels for now is that I want to just get basic ideas out of the way. Relatively simple, slightly small structures that still present a bit of a challenge. So we'll start this way. Just a simple starting room. With all the supplies that the player would need. These are all extra lives. They will be the player's only source of health throughout the level, so they have to plan it wisely. Again, as I've said before, and I believe my Shader Void playthrough video, and probably that of my Marathon Green You Snooze You Lose playthrough video, I like the idea of giving the player the most chances, but forcing them to make the best possible use of those chances. So, I have two backpacks, or should I say backpacks, that I put here. And then the Mac Wolf 3D version, the Mac version of Wolf 3D, you get backpacks that expand your ammo capacity. So, your original ammo capacity is just 99 bullets. And I don't remember what exactly it is for flames and rockets, but in any case, the backpacks expand 99 to 199 and then to 299. That's the most possible ammo you can have in this game. So I have all the weapons here, all the backpacks necessary. That should be all the rockets necessary. I want to put all the extra lives just a couple of squares away from the player, because I've noticed that when the player starts out, usually a bit of a margin of error here, so the player might show up a bit to the left or right or what have you. Maybe not exactly in the other square, but close enough that they might accidentally pick up something. So I found when I was creating levels, and I would put extra lives next to the player, that they would sometimes spawn and accidentally pick them up before they're supposed to. After all, the lives are meant as your source of health. Alright, so this is the starting room. The player has all they need here. And I think I have an idea for what I want to do. Actually, maybe I'll save this idea for later because I just have a new one. Started to cop out, but I will get back to that. I just remembered a sort of level intro that I want to implement. In this one, you start off sort of on the outside, in front of a series of doors. Maybe I'll place the player a bit more in the center here. Alright, 5 doors. Then a wall, 2 squares in front of each of them. And then 2 square spaces, but slightly off pattern for a second set of walls. I'll correct that accidental erase just there. Your first enemies will be in this room, and I'll add more to it. But I want to start the player off with a pretty intense encounter. I might check later on to see if this is a bit too big of an intro room, but I think it's about the right size. To add a bit of ambience, if that is indeed the right word. I'll put some outdoor area here to make it look like the player just snuck in from outside. So you might notice this tile here has a different pattern, both vertically and horizontally. So this part's facing horizontally, it's the daytime view. That's what you'll see, but if you were to look at it from the side, you would see nighttime. Put some bones on the outside. The idea is that this is sort of an unkept outer area. I'll put in some dog food while I'm at it, just a little bit, just because. But other than that, I'm going to put in my usual supplies. That should be enough. All the weapons right here. A couple of backpacks for Fiats, yeah. My map series doesn't have a plot, which is pretty normal considering that it's just Wolf 3D. There's not much of a plot per se aside from just killing Nazis, but if it did have a plot, the idea would not be that you were infiltrating a Nazi castle or territory, but rather that you're in a other dimension created by a benevolent being, implicitly myself. that it's sort of another dimension that has been invaded by malign souls whose avatars happen to be Nazis, appropriately enough. As such, I won't be selecting any of the textures that have Nazi imagery, because I want to take that different sort of angle. At some point, for at least a future level, I may actually copy-paste wall textures from other scenarios to replace textures here with Nazi imagery, to kind of keep that idea that I just talked about, but have a bit more visual variety. Alright, so the player stalks up in here, opens one of these doors, met with a barrage of enemies. They have to hold back. I want there to be some enemies that stay back, so I'll keep some behind objects, behind some barrels. I have to be careful though, because this game is a bit of a stickler about how many items and or enemies you can have in one room, or even an entire level. I'm actually going to add a secret here. It seems like a good area to have a secret in. So to make a secret, select an arrow, put it over the top of a wall unit, then put another wall, preferably of the same texture, 2 spaces in front of where it's supposed to go. You could, if you wanted to, select a different texture, and then the wall would just seemingly change texture once it had reached its destination after you pushed it in the game, but I'm going to be a proper one this time. A few SS guards guarding some treasure here. For added ambience, I'll make these walls really mossy. Alright, that does it. A few SS guards here. Oh, something similar here while we're at it. I'm going to try to avoid too much cliché symmetry in the design. See, I'll save this, see if it brings me any error messages, such as too many items or too many enemies, because it can be a bit hard to keep track at times. For now, we'll tentatively name this Streamed. Okay, here we go. Contains a room with too many objects or guards, 64 allowed, 78 present. This may cause strange effects. Do you want it to continue? Okay. So these barrels count as objects, therefore I'll put in some more walls. Actually, it's probably not this room, it's this room here. Put in a lot of objects. How about instead of 5 pillars, let's have 3. delete a couple of these. Delete one of these. Still 9 over par. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright. That did the job. But I'll just leave these walls here where they are anyway. Some more shootout areas for some guards. Over here I'll have officers instead. And it's pretty likely that once again I'll make too many items in a room. But I'll find a way to manage that. One thing I'm getting better at is finding out how to more strategically place a few guards rather than just swarm the player with several of them. As much as I appreciate the whole slaughter map aspect, it's probably better not to overdo it. Looks like nobody has showed up in the chat yet, but that's okay. They'll come back someday. I'm tempted to add some decoration in here, like maybe a water pool at the end of this hall. For that matter, maybe there should be different wall textures here. This will be the rugged outside, and this is where things will start looking a bit sharper. The question is how I want to do that. Do I want to use wood? Do I want to use blue stone, brick, gold brick, white brick, etc.? We'll see how this multicolored rock looks. Doesn't really matter. I'm not going to actually look at this in game very much, or even test it. Theoretically I would, but my copy of Sheep Shaver has some problems that I don't know how to deal with exactly. Maybe that's right, maybe for these single unit walls I'll replace them with this shining steel. Better gives an impression of something that's specifically placed there for this kind of ambushing purpose. Put an officer at the end of this hall here, or a few, but I'll make them ambush. I'll make one of them mutant, actually. There we go. Alright. Where's that texture again? Here it is. Alright. So this will be a differently textured area. It's a bit more wild. A bit more winding. I want this to have a lot of duck and cover in it. Actually, gotta be careful not to get to the edge of the map too quickly. My idea with these maps is to make the player have to get both keys in order to exit. That is, the gold key and the silver key. And rather than just giving them a gold key or silver key, I'll put bosses for them to fight who, when killed, will drop those keys. So, the Uber Mutant carries a gold key. I'm going to put it at the end here. Then the Death Knight carries the silver key. But not only am I going to make the player face both of those bosses, I'm going to make it so that when they finally do reach the exit, they have to then face Hitler. And that'll be how they win the game. They won't actually win by exiting. You automatically win in this game once you kill Hitler. You get a victory message. Maybe for this hall, I'll make the walls wooden. Anyway, I'll show you what I have in mind here. Create a bit of an ambush system here. I'm also going to see how many barrels I can get away with. I'll make the walls wooden here first. Maybe on this side, since there's more room, I'll put in a few more spaces to put enemies in. Alright. On the safe side, I'll put some guards. Just basic guards. I'll make the pattern a bit different, line by line, so it's not totally linear. Alright, maybe we'll put in some dogs here to kind of rush the player. I want the enemies in here to be fast, so I'll put officers. Also put a sound command in here. One slightly unfortunate thing about the Mac version of Wolfenstein 3D compared to the PC version is that enemies enemies can't open locked doors. In the PC version they can, although that has occasionally allowed for players to kind of cheese the levels by sneaking in into a previously locked door. Of course, sometimes that would lead to the player not being able to finish the level because they would still need to get back out or something like that, but you could still kill an enemy in the doorway, causing the door to never close. That would solve your problem. Anyway, if the enemies in Mac Wolf 3D could open locked doors, that would give me a different opportunity. But nope. Anyway, so feasibly the player could never actually bother to open any of these doors, but what are the odds that's going to happen? They would open at least one of them. And that would totally open up Pandora's box. I suppose it's pretty cruel, but I don't care enough. So, this is the Uber Mutant spot. Once you kill that, then you can have access to the silver door. Or gold door, rather. Death Knight has the silver key. Okay. I'm going to add some stuff in here that might entice the player to join in to try and access this room. In addition to the officers, there would be some treats in here. Extra life, rockets, flames, bullets. Now that I accidentally cleared that wall, I'll just put some treasure in there just because. But then, upon entering this room, the player would then be ambushed. In fact, Death Knight would be among the ambushers. So I think I'd have one big room here. Oops. That both of these doors access. And then right here is where the locked doors would be. And then in here is where you would find Hitler. Killing Hitler would make you win the level. For now, at least, I'm just interested in having the player, well, in just creating single maps at a time rather than making entire level packs. See, checking OBS, making sure the display is still right. Yes. Okay. And for this room, I'm going to make it a bit more elegant here. I'm going to have the semi-paved blue stone wall texture. And I may still expand this room size a bit. But for now, I'll just work with this. Actually, wait, I'll make a bigger gap here. I want to put the Pac-Man ghosts in here somewhere. But I think I want this to be the penultimate shootout area. And as such, I want there to be plenty of blocks, plenty of walls that enemies hide behind. Maybe even some miniature rooms here and there. Even with all that I gave the player at the beginning, I'm not sure it would be enough. I think it would be, though. This level is going to be pretty short. Basically all of them are. They're going to be short but challenging. I'm going to make the walls of the enemies hide behind bricks. I'm also going to put little constellations, or connections if you will, of barrels. For that matter, I think the brown barrels will be a better fit for this wooden room. Not that it's important, but it's just a little aesthetic touch. Call me the Bob Ross of Mac Wolf 3D, if you will. Here I'll have the green barrels again. I might have to put a few more singular walls in here to reduce the item count of the room. After all, I do intend for there to be a good amount of enemies. I think for that matter, I'll have these little hidden recesses in which ambush enemies will shoot out from. I'll just have these outcrops all along the wall in this room. I'm going to see if anyone showed up yet. I don't think anyone has for this live stream, but it's worth checking again. Where is it? Okay. Yep, still no one has showed up yet. That's okay. Someday they will see things my way. I'm improving my craft all the time, and I will yet more as time goes on. I'm thinking I'll also have a little circle in here where enemies stay in. I'll have a bunch of troopers right here. So far I don't seem to have exceeded any limits. I do think it's time I put another secret, so I'll mark it a bit with the pool. Better yet, maybe with bones. That will help it stand out more amidst the blue wall. Okay. This secret won't be guarded at all. To be a bit merciful. After all else the player encounters. You'll just get some treasure, maybe a few supplies. Make a blue stone in here. Of course, this secret room is technically a part of this room, because that's how Mac Wolf 3D recognizes it, so I might already be pushing the item limit. So maybe I'll rethink it later on. I'll have a separate room, separated by a door along this wall somewhere, and then the secret will be in there. Thankfully I can drag and drop ideas, but I've also reached the upper limit of the map. Let's see if there's a way to handle this. So the player would go into this door. There would be two big areas alongside here, but if you press in the middle, which I'll mark with bones, you'll find your secret with treasures and supplies. I suppose for that matter they could enter through this side. But before I take care of that, I'm going to put some ambush mutants here. Just a few spots. Okay, still no item limit broken yet. Put some ambush officers while I'm at it. I'll put an ambush trooper right here. Just be a fucking jerk. Okay, I still feel like there should be some more filling of this open space just a little bit. But rather than relying on objects, I'll put singular walls. Okay. Alright, yeah, now I've broken the item limit. So I think I'm 13 over par. I'll start putting in more walls in place of the barrels. But I still plan to put enemies behind here, so this is going to be difficult. Maybe I'll replace some of the walls here too. Mainly be from this side that the player will encounter the troopers anyway. Alright, well I'll just put the enemies I want here, and then I'll figure out how to accommodate the item limit later. In any case, I found a way to utilize all the basic enemies. Not all the bosses for sure, but that's okay. Nine over par. Okay. Let's see how I can make this work. 1, 2, wait, no. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll have to delete a few enemies. 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright. I'm at the maximum amount of objects and enemies I can have in one room. That's fine. I'm almost done now, already. Almost done. All I need to do now is put some enemies in here. How do I want to do it here? I want to give the player a reason to try and go back, so I'll put some items behind here, some valuables, maybe extra life behind each. I'll put some walls. Of an open entrance here, and some more barrels, so that way there can be a bit of a shootout with enemies behind. Back here, oh, I have to have an opening here too. So there's an opening here, and there's an opening here. There will be some fast officers. Some of them will be, ambush. Because the idea is that if the player goes through one of these doors and fires, all the non-ambush enemies will want to follow the player, and so that means I might get too many of the enemies funneled in one direction and away from where they're supposed to be protecting, so I want to have a balance between plain and ambush enemies. Alright, now this one I'm going to have starting a bit more up front. This room doesn't necessarily have a purpose, but not all rooms are supposed to have a specific purpose. It's there for gameplay and for taking risks for the player. Alright, I'll put some rockets here. Yeah, that's good enough. Put some more officers and also some ambush troopers. Okay. Right, that should do it. Alright, I've now finished my first on-stream MacWolf 3D level. I think it'll be enjoyable. But you'll have to tell me for yourselves if any of you ever play it. In any case, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.